Good afternoon, everyone. The time now is 5 o'clock, and welcome to our scheduled Zoning Board of Appeal meeting. It is our custom that we begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. If I could ask you guys to stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are we good with all notifications? If anyone in here that'd like to speak on when it's time for public comments, we have public comment forms at the, I would call it the help desk. If you guys could request a form, and we'll acknowledge you guys at public comment time. Adoption of the agenda. Can I get someone to make an adoption of the agenda?
I move that we adopt the agenda as it's written.
Second.
It's probably made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's been approved. The minutes, May 23rd, 2024. Have everyone had the opportunity to review those minutes?
Mm-hmm.
If so,
I move that we approve them as submitted.
Second.
May 23rd minutes is approved, properly made and second. All in favor of approving that May 23rd? Note that I was not there. And now we move on to item number 6, Mr. Alan Patterson.
To the public notification.
Yeah, we did that already.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name's David Carlick. I'm with Carolina Engineering, here on behalf of my client, Mr. Patterson, and the property owner, Mr. Sanders. We are here before you today to get a special use permit to dig a 5-acre dirt pit on a 218-acre piece of property on St. Helena Island. Essentially, we're digging a 5-acre pond in the middle of a tomato field. It's essentially that simple. I'll be glad to answer any questions y'all have.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant? How would you guys be accessing that? I think I saw something that said you would be accessing off of Seaside. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. There's an existing access off of Seaside we will be utilizing.
Okay.
And it goes up the east side of the property and then into our pit. It's an existing dirt road on the property.
So you guys have looked at the recommendations from the county?
We skimmed through them. What did the county recommend?
I mean, it's approved with conditions on it. I didn't know if you had the opportunity to review the conditions.
We did. The only thing we had a question on was the buffer, 100-foot buffer from residential properties. This is my 4th or 5th dirt pit I've permitted in that area, and we've never had to provide one before. And I didn't know if that was the discussion we had with y'all, or if we took that up with Miss Hillary when we went for our final SRT.
Hillary? Well, I guess we'll hear from the.
That's why it's on there. We'll do that at final.
Okay.
Well, all right, we'll discuss it then. That's our only issue. I know I gotta fence it.
Yeah.
And we gotta put rock at the road, so we've done 2 or 3 of these before.
Yeah. So it ain't your first rodeo, huh? All right. Well, is there any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hillary, have you approved? I mean, we have the recommendations. If you would like to come up and speak.
Huh?
If you would like to.
Okay.
I mean, we have your recommendations.
They came in front of the staff review team, and these are the conditions we do for all of the ponds. I just copied and pasted. So the mine shall be limited to 12 feet deep and no more than 5 acres. Fencing, the perimeter buffers, reclamation bond for the road, Hours of operation, you guys are okay with that? 7 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturdays 8 to 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All general standards of the code you're using the existing Hall Road, and you have to ensure that Seaside Road is kept free from debris.
Okay.
Dewatering to stormwater at final. Applicant shall research to determine if a monitoring well is testing the salt level in the water. So I think that's something you do all the time. And quarterly reports to ensure the depth of the pond is not more than 12 feet. And confirm to stormwater that it can sustain the 100-year storm event. So
Okay.
those are the conditions that we, yes.
Is there a requirement of, since this is a 200 and something acre piece of property, to limit it to one
Pond?
pond per,
There's no.
but you would look at that if it came back
Yes,
for one that was
Make sure
two?
that they don't create one big 20-acre pond. Yeah,
Right.
if you dig 4 of them.
We're digging a pond in a tomato field.
Yeah, so if they come back and they're 500 feet down the road, further down on the property, and we're gonna give them another 5-acre
Okay.
pond.
Good.
There's nothing in the code that says you only get 1 pond per parcel.
The 12 feet depth, has that always been in effect? I thought it was 20.
For the 5-acre or less pond, it has to be no more than 12 feet deep.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why we do the quarterly reports to make sure they don't go deeper than that.
That shouldn't last long. All right, thank you. Any questions for the county? Well, we've heard from the county, and thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
We open up public comment. Is there, oh, I guess I would know, huh? 6, item 6.
This one. 67.
All right, so there's no public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from the county and the applicant. What would be the pleasure?
I move that we approve the special use permit for the sand mine with the following conditions that were printed in the staff report outlined by the county.
I'll second it.
So there's a motion to approve item number 6 and second. All in favor? You guys can move forward and get your plan. Thank you. Item number 10. Ashley Owen. Avart.
But you
Ash-
have to do 8 and continue it.
Okay, so item number 8, Lisa Pruitzman. They are requesting to be deferred to our next scheduled meeting.
I move that we defer it to our next scheduled meeting.
Second it.
So it's been properly made to defer this, and second, all in favor of deferring item number 8. All right, that's been deferred, and public comment, there has been none on that. So Ashley Owens, item number 6. Avart is 10. Ashley, is she here? That's number 10. Let's see what we got up here.
We're just representing them.
Lori and Dennis Abbott representing Ashley.
Oh, you guys are representing Ashley? And who are you guys again?
We're gonna be the property managers.
Lori and Dennis Abbott.
Okay. All right, well, just go ahead and enlighten us. Tell us what you're here for.
A special permit for.
Short-term rental.
So y'all are neighbors to the
Yes,
property?
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
All right. Let's see what assuming there's no covenants that you guys are
Correct.
under, huh? Well, and is there any questions for the applicant? Well, if there's any question, we'll come back to you guys.
Pardon me?
I said, we have any question, we'll come back to you.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Hillary, do you want to come? We have your recommendation.
I'm good.
Okay,
I didn't find any covenants or restrictions, so.
all right, so we do have public comments for item number 10. Miss Virginia Branch?
Go ahead. I live on McTier Drive on St. Helena Island, and the property that was asking for the exception, or whatever you call it, is right behind me. And I think my neighbors too, all very much want our neighborhood to stay the quiet residential neighborhood it is. We also went through quite a turmoil a couple of years ago when people who did have short-term rentals had to give them up. And we were in favor of that, but also the whole thing was very difficult on people who did own property that previously they had been able to give short-term rentals to. And so I just think that opening up the whole idea again is just not the direction that we want to move in. We want to stay St. Helena. We don't want to turn into Hilton Head. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe this Arnold Hollis.
Hi, everybody. I live on 201 McTier, and I'm opposed to this. I had, before they turned this all over 2 years ago, I had renters on both sides of me for 4 years, and it wasn't pleasant. So I'm opposed to this. I don't like short-term rentals. Thank you.
So I have a question. So when you said you had renters, obviously they were just like short-term, like.
Short-term on both sides of me, and it was brutal. It was bad. I cringed every week hoping I'd get somebody good. So it was not, and I live right on the water. It's not the place for it, I don't believe.
Where actually do you stay from this property? How close, how far is it that you are from this property?
I would say it's probably, maybe 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes.
2 minutes
Okay.
drive.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kenneth?
Kenneth Linder, 113 Sea Pines. I own 113, bought it a couple of years ago. It is one of the ones that 2 years ago went through this and you people denied them, et cetera, 111 and 113. The reason I bought the house was because of the quiet neighborhood and the lack of renters. There is a house that is 2 houses from us that on Sunday had 7 cars in the yard. They were noisy. They are not before you people tonight whatsoever. That part has nothing to do with it, except that is the type of clientele that comes to some of these houses. And as a homeowner in the area, I think I can speak for the whole neighborhood, we just want it quiet and simple and not a lot of noise and baloney. Okay?
So I'm assuming on this area that's in question, you guys do not have a covenant.
That part, I could not tell you, okay? I have no idea.
Okay.
I bought 113 a year and a half ago, and part of the reason I was able to buy it is because the people from California that owned it could no longer rent it. It was no longer their cash cow, and they decided to give it up.
Thank you.
And property managers need to be available if this goes forward. You need better property managers than most people want to pay for, okay? It's a bunch of baloney that you have to go through as a neighbor to get anything squashed if there is an issue, if there's a live party at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's just very difficult,
Okay,
so.
thank
So,
you, sir.
I'm opposed. Thank you.
All right. Richard Neal?
I live at 131 Sea Pines, and I'm opposed to the short-term rental as well. We chose to live there because it's a quiet residential neighborhood, and we chose to not to live in a resort. We don't, I mean, I could have lived on Fripp or Harbor, and that's where the short-term rentals are, but we chose that neighborhood so that well, we wouldn't have this sort of thing. So I am opposed to the short-term rental.
Thank you, sir. What's that? Well, I'll just say the last name. Hopefully Hupka. Hupka? Did that sound familiar?
That's it, right there.
You'll have to excuse my penmanship.
Yes, sir.
We figured it out.
I'm opposed. We've lived there now. When we first looked for property down here 12, 14 years ago, and we found St. Helena, and it was a nice neighborhood of people who live there all constantly, good neighbors. Anytime you have people coming in just on a weekly basis, there's just no way to control any of that. So I am opposed to, and my understanding is that's the reason we put regulations in place. We put regulations in place to control something like the short-term rentals. If we put them in place, then that's why people move into the area. So if people move in and have some other desires, then they should have been told at the time that they bought the property. So I am opposed to it, based on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexandria?
Hello, I'm Alexandra Lanza. This is my husband, Craig Lawton. We live at 117 Sea Pines, and we are opposed to this short-term rental permits. This is disruptive to our neighborhood. We actually have a short-term renter next door to us, mentioned previously with the 7 cars last weekend. It is absolutely unacceptable to live in a small, quiet residential community village, practically where we all live, and have this kind of intrusion week over week over week of changing faces. We don't know who's coming into our neighborhood. We don't know who is walking around our dirt roads. It's kind of frightening to have people that you don't recognize just show up in the middle of the day, stay for a few days, depart, new bunch come in the next week. It's kind of scary personally for me to be at home and not know who is around me living day in and day out. So for these reasons, we oppose it, but also along with our neighborhood, our village here, we feel that this disrupts the tranquility of our environment. We have the turtles coming to lay their eggs, and these renters don't understand about turning off the lights, keeping them off at night, keeping it dark for the turtles. They don't appreciate these things. They're only there to party for a few days and be gone and come another group. And unfortunately, they're referring friends over and over. It feels like it's multiplying faster and faster, like whack-a-mole, that we can't keep track of these homes now that are coming up. Here tonight was supposed to be 129, and now there's 50. It's constantly now in our neighborhood, this situation, which I feel like we have to constantly stand up and stop. So we appreciate that if you think of us, the homeowners, we pay the taxes to live in a quiet neighborhood with the beautiful turtles in our environment. We don't want outsiders coming in and out every few days. It's not correct.
I would just add that there is precedent here because there was a number of permits that were not approved in the last year, and a number of homes have sold. So I think we have a precedent already that the council has turned these down in the past, and we would ask that you continue down that path. We think it's the right path.
Thank you.
So, and you guys may know the answer to this and you may not. So the houses that in the area that's obviously operating under a short-term rental, do you know if they were approved through this board or?
I understand from Officer Goucher that works, I call when I see something and we work together, and whenever we find an Airbnb or a VRBO on our street, I call it into her. She's been awesome. She explained to me that next door to me, they have a permit that was approved in the past. And when that permit comes up due is the only time we have a chance to come back and present in front of the board. And until that permit is
Reissued.
until it's reissued or renewed. But those owners live in Denver. They really don't care about who's moving in every single week next to us. They really don't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman? Yep. Could you say and tell us how long the actual, if someone is granted a permit for a rental, how long that permit is good for? Does anybody
It
know
has to
that?
be renewed every year.
Every year?
Yes, once a year.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But it doesn't come back to this board.
Oh,
No. Once the special permit is issued, they renew it every year. Now, if it's a change, they have change ownership or something like that, we wanna see it come back.
Is there any chance for appeal on those renewals, or is it just a pro forma?
Any appeal needs to be to this meeting, I mean, that's approving.
how would we know when that approval is gonna be, or the reapproval is gonna be? Are we notified
It'll
as a
be
butter?
next year, this time, 27.
No,
For the home that
the
already
existing
has
ones.
The 119 C Pine.
119 Sea Pines has an existing
I don't know
VRBO permit.
what date,
No,
I
no.
Okay.
don't know
We
what
wouldn't
dates
expect,
offhand.
no.
Yeah, but is there a way to find out when that
You
comes
can
up?
come by the office and we'll look up the old permit and see
Perfect. Thank you very much.
when the.
Yep,
yeah.
thank you.
Craig Crossan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, for your time and hearing our concerns over this. As you can tell, sure, I apologize. Again, thank you for your time and listening to our concerns. As you can tell, the Coffin Point area is a tight-knit community, and if you haven't been out there, I would encourage you to come out. And the one thing that you quickly realize is that we are at the end of the road, and we are not a gated community, but we are a group of single-family homes that are occupied by families. And this is important to us. It truly is. We bought here 13 years ago because of that, because of the single-family nature, because of the community. And because we're at the end of the road, if there's an issue, you know, it's not the county sheriff's fault. It's just that we're at the end of the road, and it takes a while to get out there. We're not a gated community. We don't have that backup of that infrastructure. So we're really relying upon groups like yourself to help protect our way of life and what we think is important. You know, and again, there's a lot of reasons for us to oppose this. I want to just make it brief. I think you've heard a number of great arguments today, but again, both my wife and I, and we live at 137 Sea Pines Drive, who are opposed to this one. My only other request is that could you please send out a letter for the 129 Sea Pines that was deferred for next week, for next month, just so that everyone is aware that it is coming up for discussion. As I understand, the letters do not have to be sent out again. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize. But if you could just reissue the letter saying that the special permit for 129 will be discussed at the next meeting. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Thank you. Now, do anyone have a question? Thank you. If there's no one else on public comment, we're gonna close public comment. We have heard from those residents that lives in there, and I'll let you know that it's not going on deaf ear. We're definitely gonna take that into consideration as we do our deliberation. So, just wanna let you guys know that we are gonna, we do hear what you're saying about the community. Board members, we have heard from the county, the applicant, and public comments.
I mean, I don't think there's anything in the covenants, or there's no covenants that prohibit it, but I think the board has to decide whether it's outside the character of the community around it and the neighborhood there.
And, Evan, I think it is. I mean, especially the quality of life that the neighbors talked about. And if you also think with the comprehensive plan's goals of protecting the environment, that, as they mentioned, the turtles and that turtle nests are not, or the lights out for the turtle nest are not necessarily respected by short-term rentals.
Mr. Chair, I got a question for Hillary.
Yes.
Hillary, can't that neighborhood get together? Isn't it if they get 75% of the residents to vote, they could write covenants?
They would have to get, I think it's too late for that. I don't think, if this person decides they don't wanna be a part of that.
Yeah, but if I was under the understanding if 75% of the residents wanted to do something, they could. I'm not 100% sure on that.
If they had covenants and restrictions before, and they were getting ready to expire or something, they could all get together and, and change it or do something, but I couldn't find any covenants for this law.
Mr. Chairman?
I just wanted to let everybody know that I do live in that neighborhood. This house will be my neighbor. The house next to us is also owned by Ashley and Christie. And that is an Airbnb. And in 4 years that they've owned it, there's never been a problem. They do an excellent job of background checks on the people that rent their homes, and they are basically families. I've never seen a younger group of people in that house.
A lot of them come from
Okay, hold up. We can't just be talking out in the audience like that. Public comment is over. I mean, if you have something you would like to say, and I grant you that opportunity, then you have to come up before the board. So, I understand what you guys are saying, and I definitely agree with the character that they have there, but my concern here is, what do we do about the person that we have already issued that, a special use permit to? How do we give it to one and not to another? So that would be my concern. 'Cause obviously
But it was a
someone-
different board that person came before. I mean, it was the zoning board of appeal, but it was not these people, or all of us. So I think that since it is a special use, it's our responsibility to interpret it as we see.
Well, one of the people mentioned there were people that had been turned down.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, they said some that came before the board was actually turned down.
Hillary, does this property abut the area that does have covenants?
Yes. The one that you guys voted to allow, I think it's closer to that set of covenants. But for some reason, I can't find anything for this one, for this law. And I'm sure if there were covenants, you guys would have put me on notice.
Hey, if I remember right, when that one did come up, wasn't there 7 different sets of covenants out in that area?
Yeah.
That's further down the street.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess based on what's, sir, you come forward.
Thank you, sir.
Just 2 points that were not related to the specific issue. We would ask that the zoning board, allow us to come speak about existing permits and their renewals and how we can, deal with those accordingly and fairly. That if they're approved pro forma, there's nothing we can do. If you grant another permit today and we develop covenants, it would be grandfathered in as an existing exception. So, that's just the rules in which we have. And so I would please encourage the zoning board to allow us to have some appeal on short-term rental permits that have been granted in the past, or provide us a way to appeal them. It may not be through this board, but there may be a more efficient way. Thank you very much. Okay, well, again, forgive me for not knowing your rules.
No, I mean, it's zoning board of appeal, man, so you would have to come through this board for any
But again,
special use.
we don't know when they come up. They don't, and it was said that they don't come before the board for a renewal. That's what I heard.
Not for renewal, no.
Yeah, but we would like to at least have the renewal discussed when it impacts us. And again, that's only trying to be fair to these people that are applying for special use permits now, because a lot of the angst that you're hearing have come from the short-term renters that we have dealt with. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, based on what's presented before us today and the evidence we've heard, the evidence that's presented before us and testimony we've heard, what would be the pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we deny the short-term rental because it's not in keeping with the comprehensive plan in protecting our environment with the sea turtles and the character of the immediate land or the land in the immediate vicinity, which is single-family residential.
So there's a motion on the floor to deny the special use permit.
Second.
And second, all in favor of denying the special use permit, signify by raising your hand. So that's been denied. Moving right along. Item number 12, which is, the applicant name is Miles Chandler.
All right. I might need security to take me out to my truck. All these people behind me. I can't believe I'm going to say this publicly. My name is Miles, and I'm a South Carolina Real Estate Commission licensed property manager in charge of Zenith Degree LLC, a property management company located in the Low Country. Today, I'm asking the board for an approval of a special use permit for operating a short-term rental property located at 39 Pritchard Farm Lane in Bluffton, South Carolina. It's a one-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom, 1,100 square foot structure that's on 5 acres of land. There are no covenants or restrictions on this parcel. The home can host 4 guests and can accommodate 2 cars. The property has maintained its original natural state with no significant alterations or developments that modify its existing footprint. The Bluffton Fire Marshal has also approved the property for operating. As we've heard about property managers, I'm 24/7, 365 property management company. We have surveillance systems set up to verify that the guests that are going to be staying at the property are in fact the ones that have been booked, and we will be closely monitoring noise levels as well. So that is all. Oh, also I conduct monthly inspections of my property, so I'll be out there once a month doing my external and internal inspection of it. So thank you for your consideration, and any questions?
I have a question. Is number 37 Pritchard Farm Lane on the same piece of property?
That is correct.
And
That's
who lives in that?
That is a long-term rental. It is owned by, obviously that parcel is owned by the owner, so she has that operating as a long-term. This is a smaller structure off to the side. That's a different address that would be operating as a short-term.
Is there any more questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. If there's any more questions, we definitely call you back up. Hillary, we have your recommendation. I don't want you to do unnecessary exercise, but I'm quite sure if we need you, we'll be calling you. We have public comments for this item. We're gonna open up public comment right now, which is Megan Frenzel.
Hello. We own the property next door, directly next door. It's number 29. We are an active horse farm that has been grandfathered in. We've been an active horse farm for many years. I'm one of the last small horse farms in Bluffton. I'm also the mom of a severely autistic child, and I am very, very much opposed to having a short-term rental next door to me for the safety of my children and my animals. I do not see how these can coexist together. We've had problems in the past. It is a dirt road, dead end. There is something about a dirt road that inspires people who don't live on it to do very stupid things on it. We had a problem on Monday, actually, with somebody going to that property, driving too fast. There's a curve. They intentionally tried to skid out, and they almost hit my 6-year-old walking his pony. And again, we're talking special needs children. And I just cannot see how this can coexist peacefully together for the safety of everybody.
And how long have you stayed at that property?
We will
We've
have owned
lived
it
here
for
4 years in July.
4, okay. Thank you.
Oh, and actually, I do want to add, we have had an instance, again, with that property when it was with another shorter-term renter, where they actually drove through the horse fence at midnight. They let their underage child drive the car because it's a dirt road. And because they were only staying there a couple of months, there was no consequence. We had to fix our neighbor's fence in the middle of the night to keep the animals contained.
Did you say that was a short-term rental?
They
or-
were there, it was a shorter-term rental. They were
shorter,
only
I
there
got
for a
you.
couple of months.
It's
Okay.
not the individuals in 37, it was somebody
It was
staying at
someone
39.
previously, but at the same property in the same house. So that is our concern, is that there will be no way to monitor who these people are. Are they going to be safe around special needs children? Are they going to be cognizant of the fact that there are animals and children on the road, that we are a family-oriented neighborhood where there's a lot of walkers, there's a lot of animals, there's little kids on bikes, and we want to make sure that people are absolutely treating our homes and road with respect, and that's very hard to accommodate with a short-term renter who's only going to be there a couple of days. I would also point out that short-term renters love fireworks. Autistic children and horses do not. And how are we going to accommodate that?
Thank you.
And I'm Zachary, I'm her husband. The last thing I would add is Pritchard Farm Lane is a small dirt road, 6 property owners, I think. 5 of us are either here in person to oppose this measure or have sent in an opposition via email or letter.
Thank you.
There is a letter in our packet.
Yes. And I just want to let you guys know that we do have those letters, in opposition letters, so just to let you guys know. Patty Beckwith?
We're the other adjoining property to this special use permit. And our biggest concern, ours was the fence that they went through, the previous tenants there. My biggest concern is it's a small dirt road. And it's a county-maintained road, but it's also a dead-end road. And I can count even this in the past 3 months, how many cars of renters, because remember, the people who are currently at that property are renters, but other people come in and out of that property and mistake our gate for their gate and are continually coming through into our yard, trying to find a turnaround for the dirt road. They travel too fast on the dirt road, and it not only creates a hazard to the residents who are there, but also dirt. I mean, this thing is stirring up quite a bit of dirt in the property. I think our Dominion Energy no longer services the light poles that are on the property, the lights there, and it's a dark road at night. And we've had many people come up and into our property in the middle of the night, and we have a Ring doorbell, and that's how we monitor who's coming up and who's entering our property late at night. And that's my biggest concern. There's only 6 families. We kind of look out for each other, but it's, that property is 5 acres, our property is 4 acres. So there's some distance between us, and it's you think of your own safety and people you don't know coming up at the end of the road.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Howell?
I'm a neighbor, been there, I was born and raised on the property, been there since 1965, just off of Pritchard Farms Lane, and just highly oppose, a short-term rental, as everybody else in the whole facility here. Just, it's not a good practice, not a good idea. They have small kids, horses, dogs. We all have dogs, kids, grandkids. It's just, and originally that was permitted as a garage. How can they rent out, who wants to come and rent out a garage? I mean, 4 years ago, it was an open garage. How did it ever get permitted to be a residence? I'm asking a question, through the Beaufort County permitting process?
If they did it right, yes, they got a permit.
I promise you, there's never been a permit on that property. I've been next to it since 2001. So that's my question, is how does a garage turn into a house? No permit.
Well, if you don't think it's a permit, I'm quite sure, you or someone will have someone to come out and check on that.
Go to the building department.
Yeah, you might have someone here that can help you out on that. I mean,
it shouldn't really have to be our job to
And you're
do
right.
that.
You're right, but you brought it up.
Yeah, I can.
If you call on the building department, we'll check on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you said it's only 6 of you
I'm just asking,
guys?
4 years ago or 5 years ago, it was an open garage.
Yeah.
And now it's an apartment house that's fixing to be short-term rented.
Yeah, and you said it's 6 of you guys that stay in that area.
There's
and
6
5
down the
opposed
road,
to
and
it.
everybody's here, and the one that couldn't be here is kind of in bad health. His health wouldn't allow him to be here.
Okay.
He's watching online now.
He's,
And he sent a letter.
he has an email letter up there.
Yeah, we've got his letter.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else for public comment on this item? So we close public comments.
No, somebody raised their hand.
Did you fill out a form?
I did not.
Okay, so you can come up, but please fill out the form.
It'll be fast, I promise. While I'm not actually like one of Megan's neighbors, I also own horses. I also own a farm. I'm actually here from a separate thing. I just kind of wanted to point out, though, that as she also pointed out but didn't mention, having short-term rentals next to horses, horrible idea. Not only for danger for the horses, simply because anybody who's ever had a kid, especially a little girl, they always want to go see the horses, right? They want to see the ponies, they want to pet them, they want to give them treats, all that sort of stuff. Neighbors who happen to have extra grass clippings think that it's a great idea to give that as a treat to horses, not knowing that that'll actually kill the horses. Actually kill them, not make them sick and hopefully live. That can actually kill them. If a horse has an insulin-resistant problem, they can go and maybe give them too many horse treats or too many carrots or too much fruit or something like that. So it's not only just dangerous for them, but while Megan might not have any bad horses or any naughty ponies or anything like that, horses also can be very unpredictable. So a parent there for maybe the weekend could say, okay, sure, yeah, go let little Timmy run up and pet the pony. And they may try to feed the pony something, might be bad, but the pony also might think, oh, those fingers look really a lot like carrots. And then all of a sudden the kid's missing a finger and then there's a lawsuit, and it's just not, it's dangerous. It's dangerous on both counts. And while I think long-term rentals are safer because you actually get to know the people and then they can have that conversation between the owners of the horses and the people there, that's great, that's fine. But short term, you don't get that opportunity. And me sitting here for even a few minutes listening to everybody on all these short-term, permits, it really sounds to me like the locals want neighbors, not investors. I mean, isn't that, that's the basic truth. Neighbors, not investors. And
Thank
that's
you.
what you get when you do short-term. So, thank you.
Thank you. So this closed public comment?
I suppose, can I just speak back to that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I hear everyone's concerns, and I've managed properties in Savannah on Broughton Street. I managed another one in Okatee. Love the educational moment about horses. I didn't know that much. There are ways to work around a lot of the concerns that you've brought up. I noticed on that road, I was there today, I drive really slow, like almost super slow, and I still saw dirt getting kicked up. So I am very conscious about how I drive as well. In the listing, more than happy to put things on there about the speed limit that they have to go by, absolutely no fireworks. In one of the properties, we installed noise decibel readers. So at a certain time, if it goes up a certain threshold, I get a ping on my phone, and I'll go out there and I'll kick them out myself with the help of authority. But
Prior to my son having an autistic meltdown because somebody set off a firework.
fair, very fair. Yeah, there's only so much I can do.
Specify to you, 2 of my sons are adopted out of foster care, so they are the autistic ones, but they have serious fears of gunshots and gun violence.
Mhm.
It only takes one firework.
Yeah.
And the neighbors can attest to having seen my children melt in the middle of the yard because somebody did something that they truly could not handle.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hear you. With all that being said, more than happy to form a relationship with you. You'll have my business card. You can reach me 24/7, 365. Property management does not sleep. So just wanted to address some of those concerns.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant? With that being said, what would be the pleasure?
I move that we deny this special use permit because it's not in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. I'll second it.
So it's been properly made and second to deny this applicant, this special use permit. Those that are in favor of denying of this permit, please signify by raising your hand. So it's been denied. All right, let's see. Item number 14, Mr. Barry Gumpton, who's also requesting a special use permit.
Okay. So good evening. My name is Barry Gupton. I and my family reside at 3 Del Amo Bluff, St. Helena Island. We purchased this property about a year and a half ago now and have been remodeling the home. It was in much need of repair. My wife, children, and myself have been doing the work completely ourselves in our spare time, ripping out, replacing tile, patching holes, painting, etc. This home is and will be our primary residence going forward. We desire to occasionally rent out 1 bedroom and bathroom that is on one end of the house that has its own private entrance. The goal is to help alleviate our mortgage payment a little, and a short-term rental offers us more flexibility and privacy since we also live there versus a long-term rental. The idea is, just on a weekend and vetting the people, and often people we may know somehow. I am friends with all the adjoining property owners at 1, 2, and 5 Del Amo Bluff. I have included a letter with all of their signatures stating that they have no opposition to my plans. That's Todd Plantovich, Stacy and Arthur Ford, and Rex and Tracy Field. We are at the end of the road, and so there are no other lots are within approximately a football field of our home or can't even see us, and no one else from the community drives by our house to get to their house except these neighbors that I've mentioned. I've been told that there are others that live in the Del Amo community that may be here tonight that are opposed to me short-term renting at all, that live farther away from me. I respect their opinion, and I don't blame them because no one wants large investors buying up homes to become short-term rental party houses. I'm not a corporate investor. This is our primary residence. It can't become a party house because, as stated in our application to the ZBOA, we are applying for a maximum of 2 guests in the 1 bedroom. We live and work here. My kids are in their 2nd year at St. Helena Elementary School, and we don't want to allow anything to happen that would harm the peace and tranquility of the community because it is our community as well. I'm an independent construction contractor with a family, just trying to get a little help paying the mortgage by occasionally renting 1 bedroom to a maximum of 2 persons. There also appears to be some confusion about whether or not I am part of the Delamo HOA and covenants. The previous owner, Richard Michael's family, owned the property for half a century or more. He operated a 65-foot commercial fishing trawler from the dock of the property for 30 years, and it explains in detail in a letter that I've submitted that they have never been part of the current Delamo HOA and associated covenants. I have also submitted a letter from the Delamo HOA stating the following. To whom it may concern, please be advised that the property located at 3 Delamo Bluff is not a part of the Delamo HOA and does not pay annual dues for the use of the amenities in the subdivision. This lot, along with 6 others, all located on Delamo Bluff, are not members due to private ownership prior to the covenants, restrictions, and affirmative obligations that were imposed on April 22nd, 1977. Pat Harvey Palmer, or signed Pat Harvey Palmer, Treasurer of Delamo Homeowners Association. I am not a legal expert, and I don't claim to understand all the legalities of why this property is not part of the existing Delamo community covenants and HOA, but I have submitted a letter from Attorney Derek Gilbert stating why this is. As well, Mr. Gilbert is in attendance this evening with us to clarify and explain any legal specifics with regards to the title of the property. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Quite sure. Is there any question for the applicant? So if not, Hillary, I guess we have your recommendation, but has anything changed?
I'm not changing, I'm sticking with what I have. He's saying this is lot 2, this is actually lot 10. So I'm not sure, I don't do private searches like that, but I do find covenants and restrictions. And the plat, that was, recorded shows lot 10, which is his lot, as a part of that subdivision. And I'm reading the covenants and restrictions, and it states that all the lots that were recorded, plat book 25, page 115, and it's 1 through 35 of block A, lots 1 through 21 of block B, lots 1 through 19 of block C, lots 1 through 11, block E, and all of the real property shown on the plat, not subdivided, are subject to the covenants. So my recommendation is denial. If I can get Mr. Gilbert and our attorney to get together and work this out, and they come up and say it's not, then I'll change my recommendation, but until then, I think they're part of the Delamo subdivision. They don't have to be a part of the HOA, but they're part of the subdivision.
So Hillary, its street address is 3, but it's lot 10, is that correct?
Right, he's
Okay.
lot 10, he's not, that's not his, 3 is not his lot number.
That's the street address.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm quite sure we get a lot of the public comment. We're gonna open this up to public comment. Mr. Derek Gilbert.
Thank you. I did a title search on this property, and it's lot 2A of Delamo subdivision. You can check the tax assessor's website for 3 Delamo Bluff, and it's lot 2A. So I'm not really sure where 10 is coming from. And the Delamo subdivision, as it was originally laid out, was subject to a set of covenants that expired in 1980. This lot was sold out before any new covenants were imposed. And the new covenants that were imposed are the HOA is created under those covenants. And in this particular situation, this property, I mean, the HOA itself says that this property is not subject to the covenants. Our title search shows that this property is not subject to the covenants. And so I'm really not sure where all this is coming from. But I've searched it twice, once when property was purchased, again recently, and it's simply not part of the covenants. It's not subject to the covenants for Del Amo subdivision. Does anyone have any questions on that aspect of it?
I mean, if you've done the title search.
Twice.
And it states that it's not a part of it, I mean, you're the expert on that. So that's what, we kind of go by the experts, but.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
as I
and
said,
part
the
of what
HOA
you're
themselves.
saying is there was no unity of ownership by the person, the entity that subjected whatever properties were left to the covenants, correct?
Yeah, well, exactly. The problem, the entity that imposed the covenants that exist now had already sold this lot along with several others out to people, and at that point had no authority to now impose covenants on property they'd already sold.
Yeah. You have to have common ownership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Macaulay.
All very interesting. I have a little storyboard that backs up my information. I have a copy of the amended covenants from 2001 that clearly list Block A, Lot 2 in the covenants. This is the sign that greets you as you enter our neighborhood, Del Amo, a private, deep water residential community. No hunting, fishing, or trespassing. This sweet little historic community of only 102 lots, approximately 70 houses, is situated on Edding Creek with a private marina, boat launch, common areas, and community pavilion. In 2022, our board received a number of complaints about illegal short-term rentals, Airbnbs, garbage left on the streets, noise, loud music, fireworks at all hours, foul language, abuse of amenities, no contribution to the upkeep of our marina and common areas, concerns for safety, liability, and security. Visitors were ignoring speed limits, and yes, we have posted speed limits, doesn't matter. They were launching large boats in our marina, driving boats at speeds that adversely impacted our docks and vulnerable marsh areas. It was not unusual for multiple trucks with boats parked out on the streets and up to 6 cars in the driveways. In April of 2022, the board chair appointed a committee to study the impact of short-term rentals. I find this very interesting because the person who signed on behalf of the HOA actually was a part of that committee and shared this amended covenant with us for the committee. We researched the policies in neighboring communities, Beaufort County requirements, and we developed a survey flyer that was mailed to all property owners asking for input on short-term rentals. The overwhelming response to the survey was a solid no to short-term rentals, with the exception of one response from an owner that had a vacant lot and lives in another state. Several homeowners indicated they moved to Del Amo because of issues with short-term rentals in their previous homes. Our research showed that quality of life and property values are directly impacted in communities with short-term rentals. In addition, long-term rental fees are also negatively impacted. This property is listed in the Del Amo Homeowners Covenant under Block A, Lot 2, which is the description in the deed, of which I have a copy on my storyboard here. The Beaufort County Property Class Code is residential single family. The property was advertised for sale, waterfront, dock, launch, amenities, and low HOA fees. We are prohibited from commercial use of docks in our community, and we've recently dealt with that situation also. The approval of a short-term rental business would set a very bad precedent in the single-family residential community. We live here. We are not snowbirds or a beach community. Many of our residents own and work at local businesses and have been here for many years. We want to ensure that Del Amo remains a welcoming, safe, and family-oriented community. While I respect his concern to be able to offset his mortgage, it would set a precedent that would be very bad in this community. And I urge you to reject the zoning appeal for special use short-term rental. Thank you for your consideration.
I have a question for you. Ms. McCarley, that address, his address, did you say it was on that?
3 Del Amo Bluff. I live on 66 Del Amo Bluff. And it is on the map. It is on the map of our community. I've laid it all out. The map of our community, the deed, here's a copy of the deed. Clearly lays it out at that lot and that section. And it's clearly listed in our covenant that was amended in 2001.
Okay.
But isn't it, it's not gonna be conclusive as to whether the property is subject to the covenants or not.
It's not lot 10, it's lot 2, and it is listed as a part of that plat, 25-116, when the covenants were done in 1977.
Okay. All right, well, with that being said, is there any more for public comment? So we close public comment at this time. Ladies and gents,
I would like to take Hillary's recommendation that Mr. Gilbert get in touch with the county attorney and see if they can figure out if there's actually come to an agreement if there's covenants or not. Because I think that that's important.
So are you saying we defer this?
yeah.
I would be probably in favor of that too. I mean, I think the issue could be worked out. I think it's fairly clear if the attorneys get together as to this.
Did you guys, so why don't, what one of the recommendation is, yeah, I mean, you can hear me, you don't have to, yeah. Is to maybe defer this into our next scheduled meeting, because obviously there is some conflict here, and, you know, maybe it can be worked out. I wouldn't say worked out, but, you know, iron out some of the wrinkles that's in there, and maybe you guys will be back before us, or maybe not. But it is the pleasure of this board that, you know, we recommend that we reschedule this to our next schedule, defer it to our next scheduled meeting, which is next month. Okay?
Do you need a motion on that?
I don't think, well, go ahead, we can do it.
Okay, I move that we defer this item number 14 until next month.
I second.
All in favor of, it's been properly made and second to defer this to our next month meeting, all in favor? Pass next month. All right. Ms. Holland? Let's see, that was,
Hello, my name is Alec Westmark. I am here on behalf of Heidi Holland, requesting a special use permit for a short-term rental at 11 Running W Road. The house is right next door to their primary living, where they live and have a horse pasture and are raising a family, and they bought this property in hopes to make it a short-term rental. That's all.
okay. Let me ask you this. I hope you're not under any covenants, are you?
They're amended for short-term rental.
All right, is there any other questions for the applicant?
And you said they live next door to the house that's going to be short-term?
Correct. It's their primary residence right next door.
How many people would be in the house?
I believe it can accommodate, I believe, 6.
Yes, 6. That's what's on the.
It's a 3-bed.
Yeah, I see it. And so they would be managing the property?
Correct.
Any more questions? There's no more questions for you at the moment.
Thank you.
Then we have your recommendation.
Like he said, they amended their covenants to allow short-term rentals, so I would recommend, I don't know if I put it here. Per their covenants, they get to do short-term rental for, I think it's what, 5 years? Yeah, so we would recommend that, I would recommend that you guys, limit the short-term rental to 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
It was 5 years from the date of this, so it's 4 years from now.
Okay.
Almost exactly.
5, 9, 10, okay. All right. So we do not have any public comment for this item. So with that being said, we'll open and close public comments. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from the county and the applicant. What's the pleasure?
I move we approve the short-term rental for a period of 4 years, ending on July 24th, 2028.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to approve the special use permit. And second, all in favor? So it's been approved. All right, moving right along. The last and most interesting. Item number 18, Reverend James Lewis, requesting a special use permit.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Walter Nestor, and I'm an attorney with the law firm of Burr and Foreman. And we represent the applicant, the Anglican Diocese of South Carolina. With me tonight is Reverend Ken Weldon, as well as a volunteer on behalf of the diocese, and his name is Frank Zanin. We also have Dan Kiefer with Whitmer Jones Kiefer, Greg Bache with Ward Edwards, and Andy Egan with Traffic Consultant, Stantec. It's a long application, and I appreciate it's been a long night, but we're here for 3 special use permits as part of this application. And I think that's important to point out that one is for lodging for an inn of up to 24 rooms, and that's set forth in our application. The second special use permit request is for a meeting facility, place of worship, 15,000 square feet, or up to 15,000 square feet. And the third is for approval of a special use permit to identify what this use is, because there's not anything in your community development code that really identifies it, because it's a mix of various uses. And what was landed on by staff was to recommend that this be classified as a recreation facility, commercial outdoor, and so that would be the third special use permit that we're requesting. In the staff comments, there is discussion about docks. I just want to clarify that docks are not a part of our application. It's those 3 special use permits that we're requesting. And I also believe that it would probably be best for Reverend Weldon to speak about what is proposed on the site. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like Reverend Weldon to talk about the project.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Ken Weldon. I'm not Jim Lewis, but Jim is a representative of the Anglican Diocese, so his name is on the application. I'm the executive director of Camp Jubilee, which is a ministry of the Anglican Diocese of South Carolina. It is a summer camp program. I want to thank you all for your time. I want to thank the SRT. They worked with us over several meetings. We are currently a summer camp that are renting space in other places around South Carolina, and we are looking for our forever home and believe that we have found it on Ladies Island on this piece of property. Our primary mission with this camp is to share the gospel with young people and with other folks that come to the retreat center. We see it as a place where we're raising up and shaping Christian leaders for the church and for the world. We want to build Christian community there, and we want to introduce kids to what it means to be part of a Christian community, but we also want to get them out in the woods, in nature. We want to get them out of sitting in front of screens, as so many young kids are these days. So we want to be out in nature. We want to be in the low country. We want to be near the water where there's floating and fishing and kayaking, and we can enjoy the amenities of the low country here in Beaufort. We felt called here. We looked at several pieces of property in Beaufort County, and this was the perfect site, we thought, for Camp Jubilee. We know there's some pushback from the neighbors, but we also have some other neighbors here that I think will speak on our behalf. Finally, we don't want to be an investor who's out to make money. We're a nonprofit organization. We want to be a blessing to Ladies Island. We want to be a blessing to Beaufort, and we want to be good neighbors. Our plan preserves roughly half of the natural wooded space that's right there on the road. We don't want to have any adverse impact on our neighbors or on the adjacent land. And our hope is to be a part of this community for years and years to come, and to be good neighbors, as I said, to the folks on Ladies Island and to the folks in Beaufort and beyond. Our team is happy to answer any questions that the ZBOA has. We understand that there's a lot of different stuff going on, Mr. Chairman, as you said, last and maybe most interesting. It's some odd stuff, and we're learning through this process as well. Again, we just want to thank y'all for your consideration, and we want to thank, again, the staff review team for guiding us through this process.
Okay, Mr. Nestor, I'm quite sure we have questions here for you guys.
I'm really concerned about what you call a room and what is an inn. My definition of an inn is like a lodging facility where you would have single rooms or maybe a suite that would have maximum of 24 rooms. And what you're proposing is setting a horrible precedent. I counted up the rooms, and there are, so cottages 1 through 6 are 2,400 square feet. On your list, you say that's, when you say how many buildings, you just count that as one building. So there's actually 35 buildings, not 16. The 3-bedroom cottages, you're counting as one room. A hotel room, typical hotel room is 325 square feet. A luxury hotel room is 400 to 600 square feet. We have 2,700 square feet of the 15 cottages. We have 1,440 square feet of rooms 1 through 6. And then there's 2 additional 3-bedroom houses of 6,000 square feet house. And there's no way that this is 24 rooms. I don't know why you're so disingenuous. You think we're stupid or we're not paying attention. It's just not an inn.
Well, Ms. Fredericks, I'm going to ask Dan Kiefer to speak to that, but I would want to comment. We don't think that of the ZBOA, and we're not trying to be disingenuous, and it's in the plan that's submitted with the package. And this has been based on our discussions with staff for a couple of months about the way that this should be handled. So, but I'll let Mr. Kiefer speak to the sizes and some of your concerns. Thank you.
Sure. Good evening. Thank you. Dan Kiefer, Whitmer Jones Kiefer. I can walk through some of the uses, and I may look to Reverend Weldon.
I want to talk about the inn and the rooms right now.
Sure.
If you could explain that to me.
Sure, so they're looking at the plan, the in rooms 1 through 6. We're calling those cabins. So they're set up as one space that's occupied for the retreat use. And
With 24 beds in each one.
with bed,
According to the septic permit.
as part of the overnight camp experience. So this is not a hotel experience, this is not a resort, this is a summer camp. So the 1 through 6, those are cabins set up for the kids' camp. I think we said 105 total for that, 120 for that. So those kids will be there as part of that camp experience. The 7 through 19, well, 7 through 22, those are the retreat part of the experience. Those are for the event experiences. There may be a men's weekend or a family event that those are occupied.
And how many rooms are in each one of those?
Those are one space. There may be like a suite, a sleeping area, 2 sleeping areas. They haven't been designed yet at this point.
But looking at the septic permit that you've put together, it said that there are 3 bedrooms.
Well, we had to, as part of the SRT process, we had to back into a scenario for all of the septic design as part of the conceptual process. So we did outline potential uses. As we get through this process and the final, those uses will be finalized in terms of final bedroom counts and uses.
So camps are allowed in this zoning. Why did you not go for that zoning?
There wasn't a specific use as a camp retreat.
There is a semi-developed and developed campgrounds, which is very vague.
They wouldn't be able to use that, there's no public sewer.
But we're gonna have over 48,875 square feet of sewer septic fields on this property as you're proposing, which is over an acre of septic.
Yeah, I think it's important to look at also the size that we're looking at in terms of the space and the experience provided. An in-room as by definition, or an in-space could fit on a half acre or an acre of property. And we've spread that out through 60 acres, and we're being very, very sensitive to the space. And again, that's why we're here with special use. The special use comes to ZBOA for this interpretation of how we're using the property. We work very closely with staff to develop this plan and the application, so that's why we're here. As far as the square footages of the inns in each room, this is the information we've provided, and glad to clarify that in more detail if we need to.
Well, I'm a little confused on it too. If you got those 1 through 6 and they can house 24 people each one, correct?
Yeah.
And that's not counting the other cottages or inns or whatever you call them.
Yeah, those will be large rooms with, you want to describe those?
Yeah, those are children. Yeah.
I understand, but you're gonna be way above the 120 you indicated that would be camping there.
Yeah, the proposal is for 6 cabins that are sort of divided in half for one building that basically hold 10 kids on each side for a total capacity of 120 campers.
Plus counselors.
I'm getting there. And so those are the campers, and then we will have seasonal staff that will be there. And then we're proposing the retreat center as things that would be used probably not as much during the summer, but at different times. And I saw something that said, 3 families in each of those rooms. We're talking about small cottages. the thing that was our understanding from the SRT, and I may have misunderstood, is that it's better to ask for everything, and then we shrink down if we need to, because we're not, we don't have a full plan yet. We're doing it in phases, and we'll abide by whatever they say. But the goal is small cottages that are probably going to be 600 or 800 square feet each, that are just guest cottages like you would have at another inn.
What you're showing us is that there are 15 cottages at 1,800 square feet, which is twice as big as my first house was.
It's mine too, but I think we talked to her, but I mean, we're happy to talk about the size of those things. These are not houses where people live full time or rent long term. They are going to be efficiency cottages with the either 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom that have a small living area, a small porch, and a bedroom or two.
But if there are 3 bedrooms, how can you count that as one room? And when we get somebody coming in on a sensitive barrier island saying, well, you passed an inn that had, 15 rooms that were actually 45 rooms.
I don't know the answer to that
I
question.
mean, I don't see how we could set that precedent.
All right.
I would just add to that, as far as the precedent, is the use that we're looking at here, nonprofit and camp retreat. So I think holistically, looking at what's in front of you, that's what's being approved. So as far as setting the precedent, this is totally different than a resort that somebody would come in and privately develop, if that's the concern.
Am I correct that you're gonna do the camp part first, and then at some part develop?
Yes, ma'am. Our hope would be to develop the summer camp part first. And our first part would be to get approval from you all, obviously, to build a camp at all. And then the summer camp would be next, and the retreat center would come later. And the goal was never for that to be a large conference center with, hundreds of guests, but for it to be a small retreat center with cottages that people could come and have retreats for work if they're overnight that want to come to the Low Country and be here.
So you're amenable to making those small?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Sir, I think the problem is, obviously, these plans are confusing us with the square footages and the head count. Because you're saying something different, but that's not what's on the plans. And that's where I think the,
Well, Ms. Hughes just asked if we were amenable to changing it, and we are.
I understand that, but we're making a decision based off what's in front of us. So if I vote yes, and you want to put a cabin on there at 1,800 square feet, it has 24 beds in each one, now you can do it because we approved it.
Well, for the cabins, those we do want those to, they would be 10 kids on each side, so 20 kids with bathrooms and porch, to be out there. But
Yes, sir.
I think what she was asking maybe was moving forward with the cottages and the inns part. And our understanding was that we couldn't do a big inn. So what we were trying to do is get the same number of guests, 50, 60, 100, depending on how the bedrooms fill up. Obviously, if it's a men's retreat, they're not, the rooms become less, even though they have double beds in them. But our goal is not to be a big, huge conference center. Our goal is to be a small retreat center and a summer camp.
I understand that, and I support that, but your plans are stating something, telling me something different. You're saying 10 beds on each side. Your plans say 24 beds.
That's per building.
Correct.
No, I'm saying 10 beds on each side of each building.
Correct.
Oh, and the counselors, the others. So 12 on each side for a total of 24, counting the counselor and staff, times 6.
Which
For the summer
at
camp.
minimum, you would have to count that as 2 rooms for each building, so that would be 12 rooms there. So we would be limited to 12 more rooms on the rest of the retreat center.
For a total of 12 and 12? A total of 12 other rooms total?
Yes,
With no, would that include, what does that mean for like staff housing that live on the property? Are we're not talking about that
I
yet?
think the staff housing could probably do something different, but
Okay.
if you're talking about the inn, which you're calling these retreat rooms an inn, you can only have 24 rooms, and a room is a room, not 3 rooms.
Okay, I understand.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, just, the plan is to assist the ZBOA. There are 3 special use permits, and the one special use permit that's being requested is to allow an inn in this zoning district with up to 24 rooms. And that's what the application is, and the picture obviously is causing some confusion, but we can, we could put restrictions. I mean, we're working, this is a result, is a product of not only the consultants, but also a product of the consultants working with county staff. And so we can continue to work with county staff based on parameters that the ZBOA puts on the application. Because again, we're not trying to pull one over. This information was provided to the ZBOA because we wanted to show you why we needed those special uses and why we felt that it was a good use and met the criteria for the approval of a special use. We very much appreciate this conversation, but we ask that help us with, because we're here for special use approval. Give us some parameters, give us something to work with so we can.
24 rooms is what the special use is for.
That's correct. That's correct.
And this is not
That's
24 rooms.
that's what the ordinance says.
Right, and so I would say a room, if it's a cottage, would probably be generous 600 to 800 square feet max. That would give you a room space for a bathroom and a little bit bigger. I mean, but 1,800 for one room is not in keeping with our special use requirements.
Well, there's no room size that's in the ordinance that I'm aware of. And
Right,
and I appreciate what you're saying and your experience and how you're identifying it, but we're not,
But
we
a
don't know
building
what,
with
we don't know
3
what to shoot for.
But you're
because
counting a building with 3 bedrooms as one room, and that is not in keeping with our zoning ordinance.
Well, I certainly understand that position.
I think it's a fact. I mean, it's not a position.
Can I interject?
Yes, absolutely.
Our goal for these cottages, I know they're all inns with regard to special use, is my understanding. Everything counts as an inn. But for this conversation, cabins are the bunk beds for the kids, 6 of those that basically hold 20 kids each, but additional staff for sure too, per side for 4 for the building. For the cottages, we are happy to do those cottages at 600, 800 square feet. That's what we are actually looking at as far as the plans we're looking for. We just went high out of the gate because we said it's easier to back off. And I mean, it was our understanding, rightly or wrongly, that it would be easier when we get to specific permitting to build building A, building B, building C, that it's easier to build a 600 square foot building if you've gotten permission for 1,800 square feet than to come back and do. And I've never done this before, and so we're creating it as we move forward. But the goal is not to have 18 3-bedroom houses on the property. It's to have guest cottages that literally have 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms for a family, one family to sleep in, or 3 individuals, and a place to sit on the porch and a small area, and it's not houses.
So if you would do that, so if you count the kids, that's 12 rooms. So if you wanted to do 3-bedroom cottages, you could do 4 of them.
Okay.
Because that equals 24 rooms.
And there's there's no different, would we need extra permits if we wanted more cottages that? Because we have basically 65 acres
You would
of
have to
land.
get variance for that.
Okay. I don't know, I don't know what that means.
What, did they set the 24 rooms or?
No, that's what our special use says, is 24 rooms.
Okay,
And they're counting a 3-bedroom cottage as one room.
okay.
And the kids' bunk rooms, which if we can count as 2 rooms, because there's 2 sides to it, but they're counting those as one room. So and what they have now is probably approximately 132 rooms compared to what 24 is allowed in the special use.
Well, is the number of people affected with rooms? Because the cabins obviously could be one cabin that holds 20 kids instead of 2 cabins that hold 10 kids. And we want, I mean, I'm trying to understand, like he said, how to get this done. But we do want to have enough cottages for people to come and visit. And if we go to 2-room cottages that are 600 square feet, does that make a difference? Does that count as one room like it would at a hotel? Like if a hotel has a guest house that sleeps 4 or a bedroom that sleeps 4, does that count as?
I think it's the rooms, it's not how many people,
Okay. So if we had like a living room with 2 bedrooms, that even counts as 3 rooms, even if there's not?
I think you could count that as 2 rooms.
All right.
Because that would be more of a suite kind of space, I would think.
Okay, well, I appreciate your help. What we don't want to, this is a very expensive piece of property, and we want to be able to use it year-round, not just as a summer camp. And a lot of our folks aren't going to want to come sleep in the bunk beds in our cabins, and so we want to have guests that are there year-round that come to small retreats, church meetings.
Well, I have a question of, I don't know if it's Hillary or if you know this stuff, but with this many acres, they can't have.
If they're combining it, if they kept it separate properties, they could probably do something different. But that's not ours to decide, that's what they presented us with.
Yeah, we were never told that, and we can't. We don't own the property yet because it's contingent on some sort of zoning approval. So, pardon the pastor's bad language, but we're danged if we do and danged if we don't.
I'll just interject with that. There are 3 properties currently, and we have discussed, we have Camp Jubilee Way. That'll be our main street in, Camp running east-west, from Brickyard Road. We have discussed internally having a cabin side of the property parcel and a cottage side. So I think that the idea there, I'm looking at Hillary, could be 2 parcels and 24 on one side and 24 on the other side. If that's part of, I said internally, this group.
I'm a little confused. It seems to me that you should be bringing something that we decide whether it meets all the criteria, right? And if it doesn't, we may say, we have an objection of this, or you need to change this to something, okay? But we're not consultants here. We can give advice, but we're not consultants, so what are we voting on? We're voting on something that you may change,
Or maybe y'all should go back and rethink it and bring it back.
That's going to be my
I don't know
recommendation.
what we're voting on. Are we voting on how many rooms, how many this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm confused, and I don't know why we go on with this. In other words, work with the staff. I'm not trying to stop you at all. I think it's a good idea, okay? But when it is your idea, bring it to us and decide, okay? And we're not gonna damage it so it never could ever happen, In other words, you'd have to change something or not change something. And, does that make sense to you guys? Am I off the wall here?
No, that makes a lot of sense to me.
It does. Mr. Nielsen, we're not asking you to design the cottages. We're responding to comments that we received from Ms. Fredericks relative to the cottage. The special use permit, there's 4 criteria for the special use permit, and we feel that we've met the criteria in each instance. And in terms of a special use permit. And I recognize that there's questions about the size of the rooms. And we would have to talk internally. If, Mr. Chairman, you can give us a couple of minutes to talk about if we can, what we could do to address Ms. Frederick's concerns in terms of size. My experience.
It's not just size, it's number.
The number, yes, ma'am. And perhaps adjusting the number, because inns do have suites and they're considered one room, and the community development code speaks to the number of rooms that we can have. But when you go to a resort and you rent that room that's got 2 bedrooms and a kitchenette, it's considered an inn room. So having some ability to have a couple of cabins that might be larger, as the Reverend said, so we could put 10 children on one side, 10 children on the other side, or with respect to the cottages, so that there are 2 rooms in a cottage, so that 2 couples could come on a retreat or something like that, because that's really what the vision is. We appreciate very much your concern in terms of the size and the number of rooms and what is it that you're approving. But I think, as Mr. Kiefer said, it's a holistic. It's a nonprofit. It's what you're approving. You're not approving the montage. You're not approving a for-profit operation on this piece of land. You're approving a special use for a church. And so, if we could, Mr. Mack, we could take a couple of minutes, or
We could take a couple minutes, or we could kind of like just
Defer it till next week.
defer this. And maybe you can probably get with the county as well. And you guys could meet and let's revisit this and let's see what it is that you guys can do to kind of, for lack of a better term, make it a little bit more appealing, because it seems like you're just coming for the max of everything as far as numbers here, so.
we appreciate that, Mr. Chairman.
Can I pop in?
Sir.
Yeah, we're happy to do that. Like I said, our goal is not to change Ladies Island. Our goal is to be good neighbors. Our goal is to build a camp and a retreat center. And if the special use permits 24 rooms, we can go back and look and see what the parcels are. And if we do the camp on one side and the cabins are one, I mean, we're happy to. I understand that we want to follow the rules, and we want to be team players. We're not trying to pull one over on anybody. We're just trying to build a Christian summer camp with a small retreat center for the Anglican diocese. We have some people here to speak on our behalf. That may not be appropriate at this point.
Not at this point.
Okay. I thought I'd try. I thought I'd try anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they came out in the rain. It was thundering out there. Y'all heard it.
Especially if we're going to defer this, maybe we can.
Absolutely.
Have them at our next.
No. I thank y'all for hearing us, and we want to be team players.
And if you would like for us to defer this, then all you have to do is request access.
As opposed to just denying? Yes, I request that you defer this. Mr. Mack, chairman of the ZBOA, I, Ken Weldon, formally request. Yeah, no, we want to build this camp, and we think that it would be a blessing to the people of Ladies Island, and there are lots of people in the community that would rather have a summer camp there than another housing development with. Oh, they're not. Okay. Okay. All right. Maybe I was wrong.
All right. Well, so it is
Thank
your
you.
request. You are requesting that this be deferred.
I request that this be deferred.
And as the chairman, we will hear you on our next scheduled meeting, which is next month on the fourth Thursday.
Fourth Thursday of next month.
Until the fourth Thursday of next month.
We will be back, and we will try to have our ducks in a row better.
Well, I think what's good is when you're deferred, you're at the top of the list when you come back.
Thank you.
You have to wait so long.
So with that being said, we will open and close public comment until next month. Deferred to public comment. Is there any old business? New business?
Do we need to vote on it?
No, I don't think so. No. With that being said, if it's no new business, German?
I'll move we adjourn.
Yes, please. Properly made and second. All in favor?